Hi there and welcome to today's video where I'm going to be showing you how I added the sub base to this DIY gravel grid driveway. And as you can see on screen right now, I'm just getting a delivery of some MOT Type 2 hardcore, and this is going to form our 150mm sub base. So I've had enough delivered here to cover the entire area, and it's just a case of rolling your sleeves up, getting the shovel out and just barrowing this about and getting it nice and even. So we're just using the shovel, the wheelbarrow and a rake to move this about. Thankfully my brother's here to help me, so that lightens the load a little bit, but relatively simple this. It's just a case of getting it nice and even, and then we're going to use the whacker plate to really compress this down to give us a very nice hard solid base that our grids can go on top of. So you will notice that this has gone straight on top of the soil with no membrane, and I'm going to explain why that is the case right now. Okay, so on screen right now you can see the instruction manual from the company that I'm using for the gravel grids themselves, and that is a company called EcoGrid. You can see down here, and they actually have a really good visual representation of how the sub base should be laid out. So you can see down here we have the soil, which is where we've excavated to, and then above that we have an optional membrane. So you'll see here optional for areas with low CBR. So this is directly above the soil, below the sub base, but it's only optional for low CBR. And what low CBR means is, basically very soft ground. So if we just scroll down here, you can see CBR stands for California Bearing Rate, and it basically is just a guidance for the consistency of the soil. So unless you have very soft, or even medium consistency soil, you're not going to need it. So in my case, I would say that mine is firm, and as a result, I definitely do not need a membrane down here. I actually rang EcoGrid and they confirmed this. So yeah, unless you have really, really soft, like boggy, wet ground, you do not need this membrane. Okay, you can use it by all means. It's a little bit overkill though. Okay, so on top of that we have the sub base. Now in my case, this is an MOT Type 2, so this is hardcore. If you're in an area that has like really bad drainage, you may want to go for a Type 3, which has reduced fines. So it's just more stone and they've got less of the kind of really fine material in there. Or you can go with clear stone. So this could be something like limestone at 20mm. The problem with these two, in my opinion, so the Type 3 and the clear stone, is they're not going to compact anywhere near as well as something that does have fines in it. So in my opinion, in most cases, MOT Type 2 is going to be perfectly fine. Okay, so then on top of that we have this membrane here. So you'll see me adding this shortly. Then on top of that we have the screed layer. So a screed layer can be either fine stone or sharp sand. It should be around 20 to 30mm deep. Now in my case I used fine stone, and I actually used a 2 to 6mm limestone, and this basically just levels out the sub base, so it gives us a nice level surface to add the grids on. It also gives us extra drainage. And then finally on top we have the grids here. These are 40mm deep and they are filled with sharp angular stone, gravel or slate. In my case I used a 10mm gravel, which you will also see in the next video. But there you go, that gives you a pretty good explanation, and it also explains why I did not use this bottom membrane. So without further ado, let's get back to the video. Okay, so the next part of the job is actually adding the membrane above the sub base. And the membrane you can see there that I was showing you is made by the same company that's providing the grids, EcoGrid. So I do highly recommend these guys. I will leave a link in the description to their website so you can go look at the grids and these membranes. And you can see the membrane is very, very simple to put down. You just lay it down, nice and simple. And then we just covered it with some stones just to hold it in place. And this is just going to hold it there until we add the screed layer. So the following morning I had a delivery. This is the 2 to 6mm limestone, so it's just a clean limestone. And I had 1.5 tons of this delivered, which was enough to do the entire drive and the path down the side. You can see there I just cut the bag, dropped it on the drive again, and it's just a case of spreading this out evenly. So this ended up being around 20mm for the entire area, and you can see on the path what I'm doing is I'm just going to pour it down, and then I'm just using a little bit of deck board here to kind of cut across the top, and that's going to give us a really nice even flat surface to work off. So you can see this is going to take all the low points out and all the high points, And it's just going to allow us to fill it and make a really nice, clean, level surface for the grids to sit on top of. So we spread it across the drive. You can see my brother's back here to give me a hand. And we did exactly the same thing on the drive. The only difference here is obviously we're using a much longer piece of wood. And this is just a case of going over it. Any of the low bits that you see under the wood, we just filled them in with excess gravel and just kept cutting along the top, just making it nice and flat. So really not complicated at all, very, very simple, but you definitely want to do this because it's going to make sure that your grids sit really nice and even on top of this surface. Okay, so once this is done, we're just going to wet it down a little bit because it was a little bit dusty. We're going to run the whacker plate over it just to give it one final compaction, and now you can actually see what the final product looks like. And I have to say, I'm really happy with how it's turned out up to this point. So it's looking really nice and flat. And, you know, it's going to look good once the grids are down. So in the next video, that's exactly what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you how the grids go down, how we add the gravel in, and we're going to show you the final driveway, completed, full DIY job. I hope you enjoyed this, guys. Any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video.